Here we're at about 9,200 feet. That's the upper end of the upper montane. We would see a lot of this same vegetation a little bit higher up in the bottom reaches of the subalpine zone, however. So you can think of this kind of as an intermediate zone between about 9,000 and 10,000 feet. And I bring this up because here we're in forest that's really dominated by lodgepole pine. Just about all of the trees behind me are lodgepoles. You can see a couple of interesting things about them. First, you can see where they get their name. These long, straight trunks, Native Americans actually used these to build their lodges, teepees, for instance. Another thing you'll notice is that this is kind of a scraggly looking forest. I've heard some commentators almost call it a disenchanted forest. And the reason for that is because a lot of these trees are the same age. These are trees that are fairly shade intolerant. They grow in really densely, and then they produce this really sort of long extended forest with a little bit of growth right at the top, but otherwise a lot of underbrush. Lodgepole pine actually also have an adaptation to fire, much like what we saw down below in the case of ponderosa pine. You'll notice that the lodgepoles have a very, very different sort of cone to them. These are actually called serotinous cones. When they grow on the tree, they are really tightly bound together. Only with fire do they really open up. So you see a really interesting behavior with lodgepole pines and forest fires. These lodgepole pines will grow in very densely. A forest fire will come through and wipe out nearly all of this stand of trees. However, that forest fire will also open up all of the cones that have accumulated on the ground, allowing these lodgepoles to reseed themselves. That's one reason why we see these stands being a fairly uniform age. Most of these would have established themselves shortly after the last forest fire to come through. Lodgepoles are fairly intolerant of shade. If there is a good long while before the next forest fire happens, we might actually see some other species start to establish themselves. Things like quaking aspen, blue spruce, even some of the Engelmann spruce and subalpine fir that we would see higher up in the heart of the subalpine zone.